There was also a Freedom Summer last summer. And the Michigan Coalition for Human Rights sponsored a tour of young people through the South to historic civil rights landmarks. It's coordinated by Ms. Dorothy Aldridge, who is here today. And let's bring out Michael Reynolds, who's here to represent the Michigan Coalition for Human Rights students. Let's have a welcome.
How y'all doing today? I said, how y'all doing today? I can't hear y'all. That's a little bit better, but let's try it one more time. How y'all doing today? Woo, all right, I feel it now. I feel it. All right, let me get my notes up. I apologize. All right. So today, well, first I want to introduce myself. My name is Michael Reynolds. I'm the co-president of a youth organization called Youth Voice, and I'm the chairman of a statewide effort to take back our not only our city, but our whole state. You know, and if there's power in numbers, people. There's power in numbers. Today I'm here to talk about Martin Luther King Jr. Now, I was trained in nonviolence by Bernice King in the International King Center in Atlanta, Georgia. Okay. Now, being an African-American male trained in nonviolence, I'm saying it's a privilege, you know, and I was thankful because of MCHR and Carrie McGee and Dorothy Aldridge and Dean Robb. I appreciate it. I really do. I got one question for you. Can all the youth stand up that's in the building today, please? If you're a youth, can you please stand up? Give them a hand. Now, all that, I didn't think there was many youth here. I want to thank y'all because, like Congressman said, our generation, we got to take the torch. They're passing it to us. You know, Dr. Martin Luther King was all about nonviolence. We got to step up to the plate. You know, because yes, Dr. Martin Luther King helped kill Jim Crow, but there's a new Jim Crow that's arising. Mass incarceration. We must fight it together. Now, helping me fight that, I went on the 2013 Freedom Tour. You know, I toured the South, learning about nonviolence, learning about what people had to go through in the southern states in the 1960s and so on. I started to understand, you know, what people had to go through. People died for their rights. And people in my youth, my generation, millennials, we're not even sitting here organizing around some of the issues that's affecting us. Yes. There's so many men of color that's going to jail, it's ridiculous. Yes. There's so much tax revenue, it's over $1 billion that's not being used. Why are we not organizing around that? Yes. All that money, that can save our city. We can come back. Come on, man. We got to do it together as one. Now, Dr. Martin Luther King was born on January 15, 1929. He was a leader, born a leader. He was pushed into his position. Being a young person, being 16 years old, taking my education into my own hands, wanted change. Every day I walk down the street of Detroit, I look at all these abandoned houses. Now, the city was built for 2 million people. It currently holds 700,000. Now, I look at all these abandoned houses and I get sad, you know? I get sad because that could have been a family that lived there, you know? That's money that the banks that took from them. They not fixing these houses up. Like they said earlier, you're not going nowhere. They're taking our money. We giving it to them willingly. That's crazy. Now, one of Dr. King's most remembered events was the March on Washington. Talking about a man who helped bring 200,000 people. That's a symbol for one reason: for equality, for justice, for freedom. Now he said 100 years later, we're still not free. It's 150 years later, we're still not free. We got politicians in the room today. I want to thank y'all for being here. But like, where's we putting our money? We spending $40,000 a year on an inmate, earning $8,000 for my education. It's crazy. Where is we putting our future into? Are we putting our future into the private prisons? I mean, are we? Is that a yes or a no? Now, President Johnson, he called for a war on poverty. Where is that war at? 15% of Americans are still living in poverty. Approximately 46 million Americans is still living in poverty. That's 46 million Americans that's oppressed. That can barely put food on their table. That can barely send their kids to school. I'm one of that 46 million. I'm tired of being oppressed. I'm tired of it. I'm not gonna let it happen. No more. You know, I said to myself, when this great guy right here died, I said, dang, I wanted to be the president. I wanted to be home one day. You know, but I said I can always visit this gravesite. But Mandela was a man, he went the wrong way, but you know, he found this way. 27 years to do that to you. And I can say Mandela, he was all about change. Not just in South Africa, like he said. Not just in Africa as a whole, but around the world. I actually cried when he died. I was like, man, I really wanted to visit him. It's crazy because it's so many, I cry for him, but there's so many people out here in the street that's dying every day. Every single day. And it's ridiculous. You know, Mandela, he was an interracial, you know, just as Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. That's what they make me get up every day and I say to myself, I come from good stock and I will be a change. I will make a difference. I will. And I'm not going to let nobody get in my way. Not the governor. Nobody. And when I did visit the governor, I told him to his face, I said, Governor, you know, you got all that money, man, and it's a lot of stuff we can be doing with it. You know, I told him, one day I'm gonna bring 100,000 people, and I'm gonna march to your door, and I'm gonna knock on your door and ask, where's the freedom at? You know. And the last thing that I want to say is, being on the Freedom Tour, being around such a group of young people, you know, getting the wisdom from all these people that been through the struggle, and we're still going through the struggle. We must fight. We must still be fighting. We've been oppressed for 150 years. The fight is not over, but we still going. You know. And from my mentor Kerry McGee, I mean, I'm getting a circle of people that's putting resources into me. You know, and I really appreciate that. I want to thank MCHR. Affiliated with the MCHR Youth Board. We're going to make a difference. We're going to make a change. I don't want to hear that our politicians are crooks. I want to hear that our politicians are making a difference in our community. That's what I want to hear. So thank you. God bless you. Amen.
She was a participant in the 1963 Walk to Freedom down Woodward Avenue in Detroit in June of 1963, and she was also a participant in the historic March on Washington on August 28th of 1963. Yeah, she was 12 years old, and a photograph was taken of her by a photographer, and it resided in the United States Information Services archives for many years. That photo has been dusted off. It has been put forward. There was a short documentary done on this lady who lives here in the city of Detroit. Let's have a warm welcome for Edith Lee Bailey.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. Happy MLK Day. It was very much an honor for me. I didn't realize how much of an honor at the time when my mother took me to Washington, well, when she took me to Detroit to march with Dr. King, but also when she took me to Washington to celebrate my 12th birthday. But I knew when I was there, I knew why I was there, because growing up in Detroit, I lived the dream Dr. King talked about. For those of you that remember places like Sanders Bakery, Cunningham's, where there were lunch counters, we in Detroit could sit there as black people, then called Negroes, and eat there without any incident. But people in the South couldn't do that. My mother didn't drive, and so we took the DSR bus, as it was called then, and we sat wherever we wanted to, but I knew that people in the South couldn't do that. So even as a child, it disturbed me to know that people in the same country that I lived in couldn't do the very same things that I did. And that just didn't seem right. How could that be? So I was glad to hear Dr. Martin Luther King, to know that this country had a leader that could bring people together to make a difference. Because as he said, injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. Right. The amazing thing that I see now in retrospect, now at the young age of 62 and a half, is that technology we have, which is very much on our side. So I often think 250,000 plus people assembled in Washington, D.C. on August 28th. They came by bus. My mother and I took the Greyhound bus. They came by bus, car, every way they could possibly get there. But imagine how they communicated with each other. They only had a telephone. Some people had party lines. Back then, people wrote letters. Postage was probably 2 or 3 cents. But that's how they communicated. And there was an organization of the NAACP and the SCLC and SNCC and others that said, we have to do this. Dr. King and those people knew that if they didn't stop what was happening in the South, that it would spread all over the country. What's happening to us right now in Michigan, the fact that we have no democracy, if we don't stop it here, it will spread all over the country. So, we can do something about that. Our Constitution, the first words say, we the people. Right. We are the people. We're the ones that elect. Even though we have an emergency manager, we don't have to stand for that. And the reason they're doing this to us is because we're letting them do it to us. We're letting them do it to us because they know, just like we know, we're not showing up. Right. We've been asked to come to court to support Elena and the other gentleman. We've been asked to come to a number of things. I spent a lot of time in city council meetings. I didn't see a lot of people there, and they saw the same people over and over again. We were even called the peanut gallery by one city council member. But that's okay to be the peanut gallery when you're down there saying something, trying to make a difference, and being a voice for people that you love, whether you know them or not. That's what the civil rights movement was about. That's what moving us forward to be where we are now was about. But it doesn't end there, and it doesn't end today. Just because this is Martin Luther King's Day, we want to honor his legacy, honor what he stood for, and Fannie Lou Hamer and many other people that literally put their lives on the line. They were not afraid to die because they knew that things had to be better for their children, for themselves, their children, and for others. And it didn't matter what color they were, It didn't matter who they were, they just knew that it wasn't right. We have to have that same kind of commitment to ourselves and to each other if we're going to make a difference. If we are going to turn this around, and we will turn it around, I believe that what's going on in Michigan is going to go down as the biggest public corruption scandal in this nation's history. Too much money is being spent in the wrong places. I remember seeing and going to city council meetings and seeing the attorneys that worked for the City of Detroit Corporation Council, attorneys for the mayor, and they were getting salaries, and they were very, very qualified people. They made a difference. They research and analysis. They did it all. So why are we paying now millions of dollars to a law firm that's only getting us, as I see it, further in debt? I don't know why the governor doesn't see that, but I see that. I'm sure we all see that. But it's incumbent upon us to use today to re-energize ourselves to move forward, not for the next MLK Day, not for April 4th when we remember when Dr. King made his transition, not August 28th when we say, I remember the March on Washington, but tomorrow and the next day, every single day, we have to put forth some effort to do something to make this country a better place for everybody.
That's right.
Inside of our homes, next door, around the block, in the next county, whatever it is, we have to do that, and we have the means to do that. Everybody, and I just got a new phone. I mean, it's got that moving screen. I was satisfied with the one that I had. But every time I speak, I remind people that with just this phone that we couldn't carry around with us 50 years ago.
That's right.
We had phone booths, 10-cent call, I think. But now we have the ability to not only use a cell phone, we can Skype, we have Instagram, we have Facebook, which we run the young people off of. We have all of these means of communication. We can send a text message to multiple people at a time. So the dates and the events that we're hearing today and other places that we go and we see on the paper and in our text messages that we get from and emails and things, we need to forward them. And we need to be there when the judges and others, the governor, the legislature, when they see not a few hundred people, when they see not just thousands of people, we have to take it another digit. When they see hundreds of thousands of people standing together like they did 50 years ago, in amazement, to see black and white. That was such a special thing for me, to see all of those people and not know where they came from. It didn't matter where they came from. I didn't know a mother from Mississippi from my mother that might have been subject to the kinds of incidents that I read about. It didn't matter. What mattered was that we were there. We represented America. All races, creeds, colors, religions. We were all there together feeling the same thing. All of us in this room feel the same thing. So I want to leave you with saying, use what you have to communicate with others, encourage them, encourage yourselves, and continue Dr. King's dream and legacy, because we can talk about it. That's not what he did. He did it. So let's do it.
And we want to, of course, do this in honor of Edith Lee Payne with her photograph here. And she is here memorialized.